Remember as a child, when your parents or any other adult gave you a new toy to play with? The rush of excitement was so overwhelming, and you would promise to yourself that you would never stop playing with it. The first couple of weeks, you're so inseparable from the new toy you'd been given. But then, over time, you become bored with it, and it suddenly becomes lost or stuck in one stationary place where it just drowns in dust and becomes forever forgotten. As a child, I had quite a few toys which I used to play with so much enthusiasm. But then after a couple months, I just got bored of them. They would end up in places like the back of my cupboard, or I would simply throw them away. My mother would always tell me off for losing attachment too quickly, and that I should learn to count my blessings. I would have countless arguments with my mother and father when I walked past a toy shop or when I would see an advertisement on TV. I would instantly want the toys that were shown. Both of my parents used to tell me off for being so selfish, and at the same time having too much of a short attention span. Christmas season was the worst for my parents, I guess. I would excitedly tell my parents of all the new toys I wanted so badly for the whole year. I was only ever so spoiled for toys, and my parents did think I was a little weird because my love for toys was a bit too much for an average child. I used to find toys so much fun to play with, and they helped my imagination run across the universe. Then, one day around Christmas season, I saw Santa in the shopping mall, just wandering around carrying a large toy bag. Being a child then, I ran up to him, and I told him all the toys that I wanted. And he kneeled down on one knee and smiled at me. My parents were calling out to me to stop annoying him. "So you want toys, little boy? I've got just the thing," Santa told me in the shopping mall, but I knew it was just a man in a Santa's costume. He gave me a doll, a robot, and a bus toy, to which I took without hesitation. The one piece of advice this guy gave me was that I had to keep playing non-stop with all three toys. My parents tried to give the toys back, but the man in the Santa's costume declined. For the first couple months, I played with my three new toys, and the doll wasn't such a feminine type doll, but rather masculine. I particularly liked the robot and bus toy as well. Then after a couple months, I got bored of all three toys. And one night, when I decided to just put the three toys at the bottom of my bed, I could hear a baby's cry. I woke up in the middle of the night. When I realized it was coming from the bottom of my bed, I knew I had to look. As I slowly looked under my bed, the doll wasn't like before. Where it was just still and motionless. It was now an actual baby, but an extremely sick baby. And as I picked it up, all of a sudden it was a doll again. I kept playing with it for half an hour, but when I put it back down under my bed, it started to cry again. I then remembered what the guy in the Santa suit told me about the toys he had given me. I had to keep on playing with them. I couldn't go to sleep properly that whole night because I had to keep playing with the doll. Things got worse when I not only had to deal with the doll, but now the robot toy was acting up. It would start to walk on its own. When it went up to a mirror, its reflection showed not identical to the robot toy, but of a weary, bloody soldier with a disgusting, hateful glare. I had to play with both toys now, but I was so bored with both of them. It was like a chore now having to play with the doll and the robot. Things got even more worse when one day I awoke to find that all three toys were acting up. I saw the bus toy driving on its own and going up to the mirror. In its reflection, I saw kids inside, desperate to get out. I decided to play with all three of the toys. When I was giving one toy more attention than the other, they would also act up and were becoming more erratic. They would start to break things, and their reflection, which showed something different than what I could see, would also start to cause trouble by traveling through the reflective mirrors in my household. I hated playing with all three of them. One day I couldn't take it at all, and I decided to never play with any of the three toys, and I locked them up in some box I had in my room. I was woken up by three things, which was a nasty screaming baby, a vengeful soldier shouting, and multiple children screaming from inside a bus. It came from my parents' room. When I rushed to my parents' room, I saw all three toys in a line at the end of my parents' bed. And when I observed my parents, they had knives driven in all over them. My life completely changed then. I had to live with my grandparents. The funeral passed, and the questions left unanswered apart from people's opinions, especially of me. I guess some thought I must have murdered my parents because maybe my parents refused to buy me a toy like I was some type of psychopath. I left the three toys in my parents' house. But when I got to my grandparents', I only cried when I found all three toys in my bag when I started unpacking. Every day, I had to play with them. And I couldn't properly make friends in school as I had to play with the toys constantly. And other kids started to find me weird for playing with the three toys so much. Throughout my teenage years, I still had to play with the toys. And people definitely thought I had something wrong with me mentally. I was bullied. And whenever my bullies took my toys away, I thanked them. In the end, my bullies even ended up being murdered. And I would find all three toys in my room. I'm in my late 30s now, and I'm sick of playing with the toys. And I found that very same man who gave me those three toys all those years ago. He's an old man now, and he advised me how I could get rid of them. And the only way is to dress up like Santa and give it to another child who loves toys. That's what I did. But I found it much harder to give away the three toys because in this day and age, kids prefer computer games and other electronic devices. Every night, I live alone in some crummy flat playing with the three toys. And I feel so dead on the inside. I just want to escape from it all. I haven't been able to have a proper normal life because all I can do is play with these three toys constantly. I've even been fired from jobs for playing with my toys. And I just wish I could go back in time and tell my child self to run far away from the man dressed as Santa. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that terrifying little creepypasta by Short Story 1 from Reddit. If you did, I'm going to leave a link to the story down below, so be sure to go give the author some love. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, click subscribe and little bell so you can be notified when the next one pops up. Be sure to check out my short film Erebus, which is on the channel now. I'll leave a link on screen. And as always, my Darkness Militia, have a terrifying evening.